So continuing our series on how to make everything, today we're going to try Doritos. So obviously today we're going to be making some form of corn chips, which is essentially what these are. So let's give it a little try first before we get into making them. So there you can see is our Dorit. Tastes like Doritos, tangy, cheesy, crunchy. So the basis of our chips will be cornmeal and flour. So let's mix these two into here. I'm also adding a little bit of salt for flavor. And finally we'll add in our water until it starts to come together. We're just going in with our freshly washed hands to try and bring the dough ball together. So there's a ball of dough. You can see it looks quite good and uniform. We'll let that rest in the bowl for 30 minutes. And in the meantime, let's flour our work surface here. So we've let our dough rest for 30 minutes. We're going to start rolling it out now. And we have to roll it thin enough that you can see through it. So just cut this down a bit because it's slightly easier to work with then. And we can roll it thin enough. So if we just use a torch to check our thickness, you can see we're getting thin enough that you can see the light through the dough. And since we've got original Doritos here, let's use them as a template for our shape so it's as close as possible. So let's cut this out. So what we'll do is we'll go around this sheet just cutting out all our Doritos shapes until we're finished. So we've got some of our Doritos laid out on a chopping board here. What we're doing now is putting holes into all of them. This will stop it puffing up like this when it fries, which is quite important. We also need to let them air dry for about 30 minutes before we fry them. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. So moving on to our seasoning, we're going to start with cheese powder. And to that we'll add some onion powder, white pepper, smoked paprika, pinch of MSG, and a healthy amount of yeast flakes. I would just give that a little blend. So we're going to fry them in vegetable oil just using a shallow pan. So let's get enough in there to sort of cover the bottom. And now we just need to wait for this to get up to temperature. We're looking for around 170 degrees Celsius, so it's going to take some time. So just about up to temperature, so let's get our first Dorito in. And you can see, hopefully we've got a good fry starting. That looks brilliant. Let's get a few more in. So they cook extremely quickly, so let's get them out. Pretty much as soon as we put them in. So you can see our Doritos look fantastic. They've come out the fryer. We're just going to brush them down with a little bit of oil to help the seasoning adhere to the sides of them. And let's get that into our seasoning now. So we have a quick look at these two next to each other. I'm quite impressed with how that turned out. So let's remind ourselves what the original is like. Okay. And now let's try a homemade one. So honestly, that is pretty damn close. I think I'm going to have to give that like a 7.5 out of 10 in terms of closeness. Comment what we should try next. Very cool. Yum, yum.